Brought to you by AMSOIL. A new generation is rising, an inevitable force primed to lay claim to what is theirs. This is Young Guns. Time ticks away as every effort is made to reinforce, rebuild, and reinvent for a race series so chaotic and intense that nothing can be guaranteed. The most tried and true parts will fail, the strongest steel will break, and even the most dominant competitors will go home empty-handed. Passion is sometimes the only explanation for the extraordinary effort put into building and maintaining a racing program. Hundreds of late nights and early mornings building, preparing, and putting the pieces back together after the total devastation of a failure or metal-shearing misfortune from a previous day of battle. The emotional volatility of it all is where character is built, and a source of motivation for each and every racer, crew, and family member who return to the track each weekend, hoping to taste victory and gratify the efforts made.
Getting that first win's a huge relief. It's like a monkey off my shoulders, and we've worked hard all year long. My dad's worked hard, and we've just grown with no test time in this truck. We've just, at each event, gotten closer and closer and closer, and we knew it was time to come sooner or later, and I don't think there's any more pressure now to keep performing. And I feel like we even got, greater steps to go. We're just breaking the ice, and only gonna get faster and faster each time we hit the track.
With the first day of racing complete and TORC's return to Redbud, the fans have already been given a remarkable display of drama and contention on the track. Sparks flying in the Pro 2 class have ignited dormant embers between two of the quickest young drivers in the field, and neither is willing to back down.
Andrew Carlson, that's a touchy subject for me, I guess. Tried to be the bigger man about what happened. Obviously, we had our major get-together at ERX the year before, and when he came, I was going to give him the same amount of respect if he's going to step into Pro 2. Give him the respect that I would like in return.
I think it was a tough one. I think he's got a lot to lose, and some kid comes in and never raced a Pro 2 before and starts beating him. I wouldn't like that, so I'm sure he thinks he has to have bigger shoulders than he does or something. I race the way I get raced, so if that's the way he wants to do it, I'm going to give it back.
I wasn't in the wrong for what I did. I passed a kid clean, he ran into me, and then he has the audacity to say that it was my fault. I have immense respect for everyone that I raced against, and I've tried to give it to him twice now, and he isn't going to get it from me. He's going to have to earn it.
Fire and intensity can make for some spectacular racing, but it can also lead to trouble if emotions take too much control. With the season winding down, Luke cannot afford to give Brad Lovell any opportunity to make up the ground he has lost in the points chase. Driving a Pro 4 race truck is defined by unrelenting aggression, unquestioned commitment, and absolute chaos. The styles and methods involved in creating this ballet of turmoil are varied, but those at the front know one thing to be true. There's no time for fear of failure. For Keegan Kincaid, the pressure he had heaped on himself to perform was immense, proving the worth of his team, his new truck, and his capabilities in the Premier class had grown more and more important with each passing day. By finally taking the win in round 9, the weight has been visibly lifted from his shoulders, knowing that all the right pieces to the puzzle are there in front of him. Confidence is critical, and with a win under his belt and his mind free of distress, Keegan is ready to unleash the beast and put even more pressure on the Greaves duo. CJ has continued to face an unfamiliar amount of misfortune after his round 9 fall off the podium, but the disciplined wheelman is seemingly unflappable. Never one to get too high or too low, the Greaves prodigy is icily cool, supremely confident in his abilities and ready to wage war.
You have to kick things off with the biggest and baddest trucks of them all. The Pro 4-wheel drives here at Redbud. It's a sight to see Ricky Johnson. Keegan Kincaid, the third truck in the picture, the Traxxas entry, and it looks like on the outside is Johnny Greaves, the 22. Johnny's got two really good starts from the outside, and he gets into that berm.
Pole shot master Ross Hook runs out to an early lead, But the rough redbud dirt, along with constant pressure from Johnny Greaves, leads to a mistake in a shuffle up front. Keegan Kincaid is fast and maintains his momentum from round 9. He makes a quick move around Hook to jump into second place and begins to reel in Johnny. CJ Greaves plays it safe, lurking at the rear of the field, while the rest of the Pro 4 madmen spar with each other. His issues from the day before are not forgotten, but the cold-blooded assassin is simply being his usual deliberate self, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. Scott Douglas has run a strong race so far, avoiding the mechanical struggles that have plagued him all year. But with CJ right behind him, there's never time to take a breath.
And now we see CJ looking to the inside with a great move.
Excellent.
The exact same move he did in the UTV, so he pulled that out of his playbook.
Keegan faces a scenario similar to the previous round, sitting between the Greaves nearing the halfway point. However, with lap times nearly 1 second faster than Johnny, Keegan is not content to play the waiting game.
Keegan Kincaid right now is actually making time on Johnny Greaves. So Keegan doing very well, made some adjustments to his shocks. It looks like he's got the platform a little more stiff and a little more racy.
Nice. Keep it going. And Johnny's not going to let him go because Keegan really threw it in there, and both of them are going to pay now because CJ's closed in.
A shot across the bow of a short course legend is generally something a young driver would like to avoid. But with confidence soaring, Keegan knows he is the faster man on this day.
And how is Keegan that fast? I'm telling you, 0.8 of a second advantage on lap number 4 over Johnny and CJ.
And Johnny Greaves pushed wide in that turn, and now that puts Keegan into the front and Johnny in second, but is now biting back.
Keep it going, looking good. Coming up on the caution.
As the mandatory caution flags wave, a pair of flat tires send Johnny to the hot pit and drop him to the back of the pack. With clean air in front of him, Keegan is in prime position to take another victory, but must be very careful not to give CJ any glimmer of an opening.
Okay, bud, this is your race here. Just be smooth. Hold the inside. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna be able to get by you. I'll try to help you as much as I can.
The ruts and holes of Redbud provide the perfect arena to showcase the primal Pro 4 beasts in their natural habitat. Wildly rampaging through the course, Keegan is forced into an air.
Plus 1.5. You're looking good. Looking good. Run your line here. You'll be fine.
Keegan jumping really hard into the sand, running high. CJ looking underneath him, now banging him.
Keep it going. You got the next corner. Stay in there.
Keegan was out of position right there, and he knew it.
Pressure on him now.
CJ is a master of working his way through the field and magically appearing in the lead. His technical skill is unparalleled, but Keegan is a quick study. Unwilling to let CJ leapfrog away, the number 2 glues himself to Greaves' rear bumper.
Pressure from behind you. You too. Keep pushing him. We can break that truck. We can break him. There you go. Beautiful. Nice line. Nice line.
Soaring over the backside step-up, Keegan commits to the corner early and runs a perfect line while CJ makes a rare mistake and pushes wide.
Keegan's got an opportunity here. He can take the lead, and he does just that. About a half a truck length heading down this downhill straight. It's a right-hand turn.
Don't break him here. Tuck in. Go. You got him. You're clear. Beautiful. Keep her going, bud.
A clean, hard-fought battle is the epitome of TORC racing, and this one isn't over yet. With the white flag approaching, Keegan catches a deep redbud rut and is thrown towards a tire barrier.
Oh, and Keegan makes a mistake, and now CJ has to run up the inside on the white lap.
Stay on the inside. You got him.
Watch this left-hand turn. What do you do if you're Keegan?
Push him wide. Keep it going. Good. You still got him. Nothing hurt.
Keegan is coming into his own in the Pro 4 class. Unwilling to back down, he rips the lead back.
I love this. We're seeing the young guns of the TORC the Off-Road Championship battle for this lead. Oh, and
Something happened. He fell out of gear.
And here comes CJ up the, tough break for Keegan Kincaid. Something happened.
The fickle nature of TORC racing rears its ugly head as Keegan loses fuel pressure with only a few turns remaining. CJ slides past and takes yet another victory as the Kincaid team limps across the line in second.
Nice job. Way to race him. We had him. We had that one, man. Dang it. Can't catch a break.
Despite the failure, an even greater level of respect has been earned. A head-to-head matchup with the top driver in the sport would have yielded a victory for Keegan if it were not for the engine trouble. But the Kincaids know that almost isn't going to cut it. Their progress has been admirable, and they are inching closer and closer to consistently threatening for wins. But at least for the immediate future, CJ Greaves is still the king. Sitting at the helm of a highly motivated and tightly contested field of drivers is a position that every potential champion hopes to be in. The pressure involved, however, is not for the weak-minded. The what-if scenarios and potential of race-ending gremlins can wreak havoc on the psyche of an untested points leader. Without total confidence and preparation, a season can unravel in a heartbeat. The masterclass in pro-light racing that Kyle Kleiman has given so far this season has afforded him little reason to worry about any potential threats. However, in typical TORC unpredictability, the sole blemish on his record in Bark River is compounded in round 9 at Redbud. A broken axle in practice is a precursor to brake trouble, and a fourth-place finish in the race, opening the door for doubts to creep into the mind of the championship leader.
We had some brake issues throughout the whole weekend, with them fading off before the halfway on the first day and then 3 laps to go. Even though we won, it was still pretty frustrating.
For most drivers, winning is a cure-all. For Kyle Kleiman, it only makes him more determined to ensure that nothing will get in the way of his championship. After tearing the truck apart and double-checking for every possible flaw, Kyle enters the Crandon race week with a chip on his shoulder. There is no grander stage in short course off-road to showcase your talents than the Big House, and Kyle is hell-bent on making his mark.
The pro lights are lined up for their 9-lap race. Up in the tower, yellow, now goes to green. Green means go. The inside spots have not been so good because of all the water, and we see Kyle Kleiman, the yellow truck, dead center.
Cody Kleiman right next to him, so we got the two Kleiman brothers swooping the outside. Great job, Kyle Kleiman, pulling off the whole shot.
Kyle is shot out of a cannon, shredding the slimy Crandon course en route to a healthy lead. Brother Cody slots into second and sets a comfortable pace, showing that both Kleiman trucks are contenders. Cam Reimers is also running strong, coming off back-to-back second-place finishes at Redbud. He comes out of the land rush in fourth, but squeezes past West Coast racer Mickey Thomas as he goes on the bike.
Low pressure from behind, nice and smooth.
Kyle blazes the trail, cruising to the midway point with no challengers. The restart is critical for Cody, knowing that Cam is finding his groove and pushing hard to get by.
Things are really heating up here at the pro light. Cam goes to the inside again. Low means he'll push high, takes the line, or does he of Cody?
Stay in it, stay alongside him, stay alongside him.
But Cam Reimers, the Liquid Ridge 21, takes over position.
Cam's move is essential if he has any chance of catching the leader, but his clash with Cody is giving Kyle plenty of time to run away from the field. The third-place Kleiman hangs tough and capitalizes when Cam gets caught in the muddy cushion of a turn.
Stay in it, you got him, stay in it, buddy, stay in it, awesome. Stay in it, keep her straight.
Cam's hope of a win is all but lost, but his speed is still apparent. He stays tight on Cody's tail and makes an identical pass in the gravel pit.
Crandon right now is Kyle Kleiman's best friend because this track treated him right. And boy, did he dominate the pro lights here and takes his 7th victory in 2017.
The win is an exclamation mark on an already impressive season for Kyle. His frustrations from Redbud are erased, and he is firmly in control of the Pro Light Points Championship heading into the final race weekend of the season. The mystique and prestige of Crandon International Raceway is enough on its own to draw a sea of ravenous race fans each Labor Day weekend. Combine the legendary facility with a Pro 4 class where the top 3 drivers are separated by a mere 8 points, and you're guaranteed some fireworks. Keegan Strong's showing at Redbud has shifted pressure from the underdog to the incumbent champion CJ Greaves. All 3 title contenders have had great success over the years at Crandon, and with so much combined experience here, the deciding factor will almost certainly lie in their equipment. With no test time on their truck, the Kincaids have been forced to be reactive rather than proactive in developing it throughout the season. Despite gradual improvements and recent success, Keegan faces an uphill battle, honing a perfect setup in time to challenge the Greaves and their mountains of data on this legendary track.
Hey, buddy, let's go get him. Show him what we can do. Here you go, bud. Eyes on the tower. Do your thing.
There's the green flag. We are off to racing.
The weather has done the Pro 4s no favors. Heading into turn 1, the usually dusty roost is heavy and wet, blinding everyone and forcing CJ to fall back in the pack. Johnny, however, keeps his foot to the floor and drives around the outside to take the hole shot.
Johnny is one of the best at committing to that first turn and just throwing it in.
As the lone driver with an automatic transmission, Ross Hook has a distinct advantage in the wet conditions. He holds his own against CJ and Keegan and slides into second place when Chad Hort gets caught in the soft dirt cushion outside of the finish line turn. A surprisingly slow start for the Pro 4 Young Guns has given Johnny plenty of breathing room, and he rallies off clean laps at the front of the field. Their struggles are compounded when Hort is bitten again by the slippery mud in a corner.
One guy makes a mistake, and when you're tight like that, everybody has to pay for it.
The mishap eliminates any chance that Johnny will be caught before the competition caution, and with Douglas sneaking into third and Hort into fourth, CJ and Keegan have their work cut out for them to make up positions before it's too late. CJ makes quick work of Chad Hort, but Keegan is not as fortunate. It is obvious that Hort is struggling mechanically or otherwise, but he is not ready to throw in the towel, and instead defends his position valiantly. In these conditions, the racetrack has few places to pass, leaving Keegan to try anything and everything to get around.
Hey, go. Clear. Keep going, clear. Coming up on the caution here. Coming up on the caution flag lap.
Keegan's pass in the gravel pit is all for naught as the slick track catches him off guard just before the finish line. He drops back to 6th at the caution.
All right. Yeah, it's slippery for some reason. Yeah, I know it's slippery, but we just gotta be smooth. Hort holds me up there. We gotta get by him fast. I don't know, it's just one line. How's your truck doing? My truck actually works good right now. It rotates good. It does everything good. I just got by Hort. That's all right. We got one more half to go.
On the restart, the top 6 racers stay tightly bunched together. The level of urgency is clearly picked up and fight for position is on. Privateer Ross Hook is having his best race all season, and he battles hard with Scott Douglas to maintain second place.
Ross Hook taking it in deep.
Come and get you some, son. Look at that. Ross stays on it, and that puts Scott out in the fluff, and CJ takes advantage.
Ross's scrap with Douglas is an unforeseen gift for CJ, allowing him to pass Scott cleanly without losing any time on his dad. He smells blood and makes his move on Hook, pushing him wide into the cushion and takes second position. Johnny's worry-free race is slowly coming to an end as CJ begins to reel him in, ripping time off his lead in chunks. Scott Douglas hangs tough in third but cannot get close enough to challenge CJ.
And that's the line. Last lap.
Can CJ Greaves close in? It's down to 1.1 seconds.
This is when you're out in front, you have everything to lose and also everything to gain. So what you have to do is think qualifying laps. There's nobody around me. I just have to put my best lap forward.
A familiar scene is playing out. The Greaves duo going at it for the win in front of the wild Crandon horde. Johnny is doing all he can to stay in front as the Hunter CJ stalks his every move. With only a few turns remaining, CJ sees the glimpse of an opening.
CJ goes outside, dives to the inside. This is it. Does he straight line it across and take the nose of Johnny? No, Johnny gets good drive, but he does make contact. And now CJ,
take him out.
He does everything you thought he would, but you're saying surely he can't. But can Johnny hold on now? Johnny's the one that's trying to hold on for a second. CJ Greaves takes the win.
Good job, bud. Good job. Your dad still got second. Nice work. I like the aggression in that race.
He owed him one. Now they're back to square.
Youngblood's got no sense of history.
Hey, you know, I wasn't given an inch. He wasn't giving me an inch.
You're grounded for the rest of the night.
The playful banter is genuine, but just under the surface are two ambitious wheelmen, ready and willing to do whatever is necessary to win a championship at the final rounds in ERX. Titles are still undecided across all pro classes, leaving plenty of tension and a multitude of scenarios to play out over the final weekend of the year. Next time on Young Guns. For every racer across the TORC class rosters, the year's had its ebb and flow. The competitive clashes, rivalries, misfortunes, and cries of jubilation all create the story of the season. When these warriors make their return to Elk River, Minnesota for the final rounds of the year, they will write the closing chapter of their dramatic narrative. For some, it is the culmination of hard work and tribulation in the pursuit of writing their name in the champion's history book. For others, it is a way to wipe the slate clean and make a statement that will be remembered all off-season. Regardless of the approach, there's nothing to be left on the table. Bragging rights are up for grabs, and champions will be crowned. This is Young Guns. Brought to you by AMSOIL.